Yo, what's up guys, it's King Sean here, and we have breaking news out of the NFL. It's been another pretty busy day. Trey Hendrickson has requested a trade from the Bengals, and the Bengals have given him permission to seek a trade. So this is huge news, man. Very huge news. As we all know, the Bengals just tagged T. Higgins, and they plan on getting a long-term deal done with him. And they also plan on making Ja'Marr Chase the highest paid receiver in the NFL. Probably will be $40+ million a year. So with them putting so many resources in Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase, and them paying Joe Burrow a lot of money, obviously, their quarterback, Trey Hendrickson, he's kind of the odd man out when you really look at the situation on paper. He just had 17.5 sacks this past season, led the entire NFL, and the year before he had 17.5 sacks as well, right? So back-to-back years with 17.5 sacks. Super, super impressive. And Trey Hendrickson, he's going to attract a lot of interest, of course. In the tweet Adam Schefter put out, I'll read it right here. Hendrickson said, "It's been an honor and privilege to represent Cincinnati over the last 4 years. I love the city and organization, and I appreciate the privilege of now being allowed to explore my options." Jordan Schultz has come out and already said that the Commanders are among several teams who would be interested in trading for him per sources. So we've already been linked to Trey Hendrickson, and I love that. I absolutely love that, and it's not a surprise at all. I mean, US Stadium on Twitter, they're a pretty reliable source when it comes to trade rumors. They already came out and said that the Commanders have been very interested in adding an edge rusher this offseason. They called about Myles Garrett, and they've checked up on the Trey Hendrickson situation. And now that Hendrickson is available, they can really try and pursue him, which I definitely expect us to do. So you guys can probably already tell that I would love Trey Hendrickson here in DC, man. He is the edge rusher we need. He had 17.5 sacks this season, like I stated a minute ago, right? 17.5 sacks, led the entire NFL. He was the runner-up to Defensive Player of the Year, and honestly, if the Bengals made the playoffs, he may have won it, right? Now, Patrick Surtain, he was a dog this past season, so they may have still given it to him, but Trey Hendrickson, man, he was an absolute baller this past season, and the year before that, he put up pretty similar numbers. I mean, 17.5 sacks. In 2021, had 14 sacks. In his final year with New Orleans in 2020, 13.5 sacks. Here's a fun stat. Over the last 2 years, 2 seasons, Trey Hendrickson leads the NFL in sacks with 35. That's insane. That's how dominant of a pass rusher he has been over the past 2 years with the Bengals. And it's pretty funny because, I mean, the Bengals defense was atrocious this past season, but none of it was due to Trey Hendrickson. He was arguably the best defensive end in the NFL this past season. I mean, he was just so good. And here are some numbers to back that stance up even more. Shout out to Louis Riddick because he put out a tweet saying these numbers. Trey Hendrickson in 2024, number 3 in pressure percentage. He had 92 pressures this past season. That's insane. Number 1 in sacks and sack percentage. Number 3 in pass rush win rate. And then in 2023, he was 7th in pressure rates, number 2 in sacks, and number 11 in pass rush win rate. He has also been very durable. He has started all 17 games over the past 2 years for the Bengals. And with the Bengals, I mean, he hasn't missed much time, right? He's played in every possible game besides 2, which is very, very good, man. That is elite durability right there, right? So not only is he an elite player, an elite edge rusher, he is also really, really good at staying healthy, which is awesome, right? And not only is he a great pass rusher, he's also very solid at defending the run, and we need that, right? We need both a dominant run defender and a dominant pass rusher, and Trey Hendrickson would provide that for us. My guess for a Trey Hendrickson extension is you would probably give him $28 million or more per year. Max Crosby just got an extension yesterday, $33.1 million a year. So I would probably guess that Trey Hendrickson gets like $28 to $30 million a year, right? Somewhere around that range, or a little bit more. We'll see, right? And here's another thing to keep in mind with Trey Hendrickson. he is 30 years old, right? Which isn't crazy old. However, he probably has like 3 to 4 years of really good football left, right? So if you were to trade for him, I don't think it would be as expensive as one would imagine because of his age and his contract situation, right? If you trade for him, you'd have to pay him. So my guess for draft capital, and for us, we already don't have a lot of draft capital. Only 6 picks and only 3 picks on the first 2 days of the draft. 1 first-round pick, 1 second-round pick, 1 third-round pick. Then we don't pick again until the 6th round. So that is something you'd have to keep in mind when it comes to thinking about a potential trade package. So for me, I feel like you would probably have to give up at least a 3rd-round pick to get Trey Hendrickson, right? And he may be more expensive than that, right? I don't think it'll cost a first because he's 30 years old and he only has 1 more year left on his deal, right? You would have to give him an extension, right? But I feel like a 3rd, maybe another pick as well would be able to get it done. Or you could give up a future pick for Trey Hendrickson, right? And the Texans just traded for Christian Kirk, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But they traded a future pick for him, right? And that's because his contract is pretty expensive for this final year. So that's why I feel like when it comes to a potential Trey Hendrickson trade, you wouldn't have to give up as much as some people may expect a team to give up because of his contract and him getting up there in age a little bit. Although 30 isn't crazy old, still probably has like 3 to 4 good years of him left. And you would have to give him a new contract extension, which is expected to be $28 million or more per year, which we have the money to do so. So I'm not too worried about that, right? So those are my thoughts on Trey Hendrickson. Once again, without a doubt, I would definitely trade for him. And unlike Myles Garrett, he's actually available. The Bengals have actually made him available. We don't know if the Browns are going to make Myles Garrett available, right? And we've already shown heavy interest in Trey Hendrickson, so it would not surprise me one bit if we decide to pull this move off. And if we did, that would be awesome because that's a need that has been dropped or removed off the table, and that's a need that we do not have to address in the draft so high anymore, right? So getting a guy like Trey Hendrickson would be great for us. And then real quick before I get up out of here, it has been announced that the Texans are trading for Christian Kirk. It was announced yesterday that the Jaguars would release Christian Kirk. However, they were able to find a suitable trade partner for him, and they're trading him to a divisional rival in the Houston Texans. So that makes a lot of sense. The Texans needed a receiver. They went after Deebo Samuel. They didn't get him, obviously, and they still need another receiver. Nico Collins is the only guy they got. Stephon Diggs probably not going to come back. Tank Dell, he's hurt. He's going to be out for a minute because he suffered a severe knee injury. So they needed a guy, and getting a guy like Christian Kirk is really good. He will be a great slot option for CJ Stroud. And it only took a 2026 7th round pick, and the reason for that is because of his contract. 1 year, $16.5 million in 2025. That is quite a bit for Christian Kirk, right? So I do understand why, the Jags only got a 2026 7th for him and not even a 2025 7th, a 2026 7th, right? But it's because of the contract, and maybe some of it has to do with Kirk's injury this past season, but most of it may be because of the contract, right? So I wanted Christian Kirk, but, is what it is. He's off the table. Knew he would have a little bit of a market, and the Texans decided to scoop him up. So there are other receivers out there in free agency like a Darius Slayton or maybe an underrated guy like an Elijah Moore, who I talked about a couple of days ago. So, we'll see if we pick one of those guys up, but there are still options at receiver to add a 3rd receiver. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below your thoughts on potentially trading for Trey Hendrickson, a great edge rusher in my opinion, and one that would for sure fill your need at edge rusher in a massive way. And comment down below your thoughts on the Texans trading for Christian Kirk as well. And other than that, it's been King Sean, and I'm out. Peace.